We welcome back to Capitol tonight Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Governor, always a pleasure to have you here.
Always a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. And you had a lot of interim charges, and so
Yes.
that's why we wanted to bring you in.
Sure.
And we'll get to a lot of them, not all of them certainly,
Sure.
but the importance of interim charges and the timing of this, because this is a bit early to have interim charges between sessions.
It's probably the earliest they've ever been put out, and the reason I wanted to put the charges out now to give all the committees plenty of time to work through them, because the reality is when we're out of session, it's hard to have a committee hearing during the holidays, obviously,
right.
And then a lot of people before the March primaries, because you have so many people running, and that's difficult. And so you have some time now before the holidays begin, and then you have all spring, and then next fall. So there's a lot of work to do in a short period of time, really. And because we meet every other year, see, most states meet every year.
Right.
So they're working on the projects. For us, since we have this interim period, we need to take the time to work on the issues, to start taking testimony, to study the issues, to hear from the people for next session, because you can't show up in January of 2017 without preparation. And that's what it's about.
And you charge a variety of committees, and I cherry-picked some things that
Sure.
got a lot of attention. We'll ask you if we're missing anything that you at least want to talk about today, but we'll start with one, and this was for state affairs
Yes.
and the area of religious liberty. Examine measures to affirm First Amendment religious liberty protections in Texas, along with the relationship between local ordinances and state and federal law. Make recommendations to ensure that the government does not force individuals, organizations, or businesses to violate their sincerely held religious beliefs. And of course, I know we've had the Supreme Court ruling on gay marriage,
Yes.
that it is legal across the country. This goes hand in hand with that decision?
We passed the Pastor Protection Bill last session, out of the Senate, through the House, to the governor's desk, signed. It's law. And it simply says a pastor or people affiliated with the church do not have to take part in a same-sex wedding if it's against their religious beliefs. Well, there are other people who don't work in a church or who aren't pastors who still have very sincere religious beliefs. And you never deny anyone service in this country. Everyone, if you're open up for business, you serve everyone that comes in the door. But the question is, should the owner of that particular business be compelled to participate in an event? Most people think it's just about same-sex marriage, but what if would you invite certain store owners to go to other events that they didn't feel comfortable in? I mean, would you, let's say you were a caterer, and someone wanted you to go and participate in an event that was totally against everything you hold dear in your life. You shouldn't be forced to do that, in my view. But we have to walk this line carefully. Again, it's not about equal rights, but it is about an individual's right to their religious freedom. And by the way, these charges, and it's the unique name, they're charges that we give to the committees to study and prepare for the next session. But every senator submits the charges. We have 31 senators. And some outside groups will submit charges. Anyone can really submit a charge. We had over 800.
So you pick and decide.
So, and there's a lot of duplication. So every senator, I believe I'm correct in this, every senator had 1 or 2 or 3 charges that we selected, Republican and Democrat, and then the issues that I care about. And religious liberty is so important in this country.
Is this a concern over, perhaps, I know Houston, the ordinance there on discrimination is going on the ballot, right? In November.
This is for folks who are in Austin. They may not be following this, but we have an election there, and I've cut TV spots to be against it. It's not about equal rights. Equal rights are protected in this country. We have equal rights. But this ordinance, if passed, would allow men to go into women's ladies' rooms and women's locker rooms. Now, put everything else aside. Whatever your feelings are on this issue, look, here's the end of the day. If you're a grandmother, mother, daughter, granddaughter, wife, sister, or you have one, do the women want to be in a ladies' room or a women's locker room and have a man come in under any circumstance because they feel like they're a woman and they can come in? And I think if you just look at it as common decency and common sense, and so hopefully we can defeat that in Houston.
Let's take a look at another
Sure.
charge here. And now this one, it deals with education. And so I picked this one because
Yes.
obviously everyone can relate to this. School choice is the title. Study school choice programs enacted in states across the nation, examining education savings account and tax credit scholarship programs in particular, examining the implementation process used in other states, the impact. And so, you know, of course, school choice
Yes.
is movement, but a lot of people say, you know, that is basically vouchers and you're taking away from public schools.
Well, Paul,
is that the...
not that you're wrong, but the people who take that position are wrong. If you poll the public, Republican and Democrat families, nearly 70% believe parents should have a choice whether to send a child to school. It's that simple. Nevada just passed a sweeping bill. Every parent has a right to send their child to whatever school they want. And so, look, here's where we are in Texas. We have 5.8 million students in school. 300,000 of those are homeschool, 250,000 in private, 150,000 in charters. You're always going to have the overwhelming number of students and families in public schools. And we have a lot of great public schools.
And you think
but
that
we
will
have
stay
some
the-
bad ones. But if you're a parent, whether you're in Austin or downtown Dallas or downtown San Antonio or Houston or in some rural area that has a bad school, why should you be forced to send your child to a school that's a failure? And in Texas, in the last numbers that I saw, we rate almost 300 schools failures. You should not be forced to do that. So I don't know what the final bill will look like. We passed a school choice bill out this session out of the Senate.
but isn't the House...
The House didn't pass it. But it took me 6 years to pass the sonogram. It took me 10 years to change the 21 vote rule to 19. I never give up on something I know is right. And giving parents a chance to get their kids out of a failing school, that's a civil right, that's a moral right, and we're falling behind in Texas. Other states are moving in this direction.
Is there a state that you say is the model?
Well, you know, Nevada gives every parent a choice. If you're in poverty, if you're an economic disadvantaged student, you get a little bit more money than a student who's not. But every parent has a choice. And what this brings about is competition. Competition. Again, most of our schools do a fine job. This is, you know, the rhetoric is whenever you want to change anything or try something new, people, well, you're trying to undermine public education, take money out of public education. No, of course not.
Okay.
We're going to have 90% more kids in public school in Texas than probably any other state in America, even with school choice. But if your kid's in a failing school, you should not be forced to send your child to a school. And we know what they are, Paul. They've been failures for a decade or more in every big city. It's time to give all those families an opportunity and every other family in Texas.
We may be able to squeeze in one
All
or
right.
two more.
Sorry, I'm passionate about
I
this.
know you are. I know you are.
I'm passionate about
Let's look at this next one here.
Yes.
This is going to the Health and Human Services, Protecting the Unborn is what it's titled.
Yes.
And part one is examine and make recommendations on the use of fetal tissue provided for research purposes and how related laws governing abortion procedures are interpreted and enforced. I know there was these videos nationally.
Yes.
Planned Parenthood say that, you know, they're taken out of context, but
Well, apparently, the people that took the videos and all of us who spoke out against it were right. Because this week, Planned Parenthood said we're not going to do that anymore. They're not going to do something anymore they said they weren't doing. So it appears they got their hand caught in the cookie jar.
Well,
and I'm glad they're going to stop.
But now they said that they weren't going to accept money for transportation, but that everything they were doing was legal.
Yes. At first they said they weren't doing it at all, and then everything they're doing is legal.
In Texas.
And, well, look, we don't know. We have a criminal investigation going on in Harris County. I immediately called a hearing in July to look into this issue. It's barbaric. It is barbaric. It is, look, I understand people have a different point of view. Not everyone agrees. I'm pro-life, and I'm unashamedly pro-life. Every life is valuable. But to go to the next step and profiteer when you abort a baby, to take that baby apart and sell the parts, Paul, that's unacceptable.
But isn't it already illegal? So
no, actually, that's what we're all looking at. We're looking at what is the law. Is it a misdemeanor? Is it a felony? And of course, like any other, if it's a crime, if it's a crime, what is the proper punishment? If it's not a crime, does it elevate to a crime? What exactly are they doing? Look, they always come and testify against any pro-life bill. We invited them to come and testify and tell us what they were doing. They didn't show up. And now they're backing up. Remember, at first, these people doing the video were editing it, and it was unfair, and they were being set up. Well, apparently, those of us who thought this were barbaric, and look, even if you're pro-choice and you're watching, do you really want an abortion clinic then to go in and do the gruesome practice of taking parts of this baby?
Well, and again, I know Planned Parenthood says that, this is a partial video, that it might be edited.
Paul, I think this argument is pretty much over. I think they're backing up this week. They've acknowledged that they have been caught doing something they should not have been doing. Look, but we're going to continue to pursue it. Paul, look, think about the questions you're asking. Okay. Think about the questions you're asking me today. Okay. Here we are in 2015. We're having to fight an ordinance to keep men out of ladies' bathrooms. And we're having a discussion on, well, is it okay to take body parts and sell them from an aborted baby? Where have we gone in this country?
But of course, I mean,
and we're not going to go here in Texas, at least not on my watch.
But some would look at it from the standpoint of
what? Of that men should go into ladies' rooms and babies should be taken apart in the womb after they've been aborted? Come on, Paul.
But
you know better.
I know, but there's other issues that go with like
No,
that
there are no
ordinance
other.
in Houston.
No, wait a minute. There are no other issues. Men should not go in ladies' rooms or women locker rooms. Period.
But nobody should be discriminated for their sexual orientation.
Paul, everyone has equal rights. No one is being discriminated against. Men should not go into ladies' rooms. Do you think they should? You're putting. Let me ask. Wait a minute. Do you think they should? Do you think a man should go into a ladies' room?
I'm not here to answer questions.
All right. Well, see, that's part of the problem. People won't stand up, and I love you, but you're pressing me here, and I'm okay to be pressed because I don't back up. This is wrong. There's not a grandma, mom. Does any man out there want a man going in to a bathroom when his granddaughter's in there?
No.
Or his wife? I don't think so. I don't think we're wrong on this one. And even for pro-choice people, if a baby's aborted, shouldn't that baby, the soul of that baby, the body of that baby be protected and cherished, even if aborted?
And I know you're passionate about the issue.
You bet I
and
am.
how you feel.
You bet I am. It's time for people in America to stand up on these issues that 10 or 20 or 30 years ago would have been so outside the realm of possibility. To think that we're discussing it now, I think part of it is not enough good people are standing up and saying enough is enough is enough. Well, and no one's discriminating against anyone.
We're almost out of time.
The Supreme Court said gay people can get married. But guys, if you need to go to the bathroom, there's a door that says men's room on it, not ladies' room.
I'm going to squeeze in one more
yes,
here.
Sir.
They'll probably get mad at me.
No, I'm not mad.
No, not you. Not you. My producer may get mad.
I think your producer's enjoying the segment.
The franchise tax, that's another area. Just real quick on this one there, but you ultimately would like to see it eliminated.
Oh, absolutely. We need to eliminate it. Look, our economy in the United States is just sputtering. Low growth. Texas has been leading the way. Now our economy is just down a touch, not a lot, but off a little bit because oil is down. But what we have to do is create jobs. We're in the business of creating jobs. Government doesn't create jobs. Private sector does. The easier you make it on the private sector to be profitable, the more jobs they'll create. The franchise tax, we cut it by 25%. Right. We can cut it by the full range over several sessions. And by the way, we're cutting it for the businesses, Paul, but the schools and where the money was going to and the property tax relief fund, we're replacing the money with sales tax money. In other words, what's happening, Paul, in Texas, our sales taxes are growing. Now, they're a little flat the last several months.
Is there a concern with the new revenue estimate right now?
No, I'm not concerned. We were very conservative. We passed a budget that only increased 3.9%, keeping an eye on the future. We kept more money in the bank than's ever been in the bank before. None of us can predict the next 6 or 12 months of the price of oil or anything else, but we'll be positioned well when we come back in 2017 to do what needs to be done as we've done before. Okay. We'll keep our economy on track. The franchise tax, the more you tax business, the less people they hire, the less they invest.
Governor Patrick, we'll invite you
Conservative politics, conservative governance in Texas has proven to work, whether it's cultural conservatism or fiscal.
Thank you for being with us.
Always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, Governor. Appreciate it.
These are good topics. I like it.
Up next, political analyst Harold Cook and Ted DeLisi. Lots to talk about.